My name is Alan Moore. I am your host this morning. I'm based in the Technological University of Dublin in the School of Surveying and Construction Management. We have three presentations this morning from Letterkenny IT, from Belfast Met, and all the way from Australia, from a company called ConX, who are providing IT services to construction SMEs. If I could ask everyone to please turn off their mics, please. And what I might do is invite Keith Moore to speak. Keith, good morning.
Good morning, how are you? Will I share the screen and get stuck in?
Yeah, I'll just introduce you, Keith, first, if I may.
Cool.
So Keith is the ConX co-founder. Keith is a carpenter and a builder by trade. Originally from Ireland, he moved to Australia in 2009 and set up a successful carpentry contracting business. In 2017, he transitioned full-time to ConX, a software as a service platform built for construction contractors to simplify the critical pre-construction process with estimating and tender management tools. So it's great to see the Irish entrepreneurs making it down under. I know I have family down there myself, great part of the world. So Keith, if you'd like to start.
Cool. I'll just kind of share my screen here. I'll jump into the presentation.
Thank you.
Hey guys, how are you? Keith Moore here, co-founder of ConX. It's a really great opportunity to be here with you guys today and just have a chance to present our company ConX to the Construction IT Alliance. Who we focus on the small and medium enterprises of the world. So they're guys typically with companies less than 20. Yeah, so we'll be giving you their perspective from the guys on the ground doing work and just their day-to-day problems and how we're helping.
Sharon, have you got sound?
Keith, I think you went on mute there.
Keith?
I think you muted yourself.
Can Keith hear us?
I'm not sure. 1 sec.
We need to get him to put his sound on. God.
I'll give you a bit of data, a few stats, and just my own personal take on what the industry is like down here. We'll jump in then. We'll have a look at the ConX journey. Why did we start a business for small and medium contractors? How the product has evolved to date and what it looks like going forward into the future. What we'll do then, we'll just jump quickly into I've recorded a short video of the product in action itself, just so you can get a bit of a visual on what I'm going to be talking about today. And then we'll right throughout the whole thing, we'll actually be kind of touching on the adoption of technology in Australia, which is really interesting down here. Yeah, so this isn't going to be anything new to any of you guys in the Construction IT Alliance, but construction is the least digitized industry in the world. I think we're all very aware of that. There's nowhere is that more apparent than in the small and medium construction contractors and all the guys that they're on site doing the work. They're really the least digitized of the construction industry, which in itself is pretty digitized. So here at ConX, what we're doing is we're making complex software solutions incredibly simple and easy for SME contractors. we're bringing them online and revolutionising the industry from the ground up. So that really is our ethos. What we want to do is take complex solutions that maybe have been available for the tier 1 and tier 2 contractors over the years. We want to repackage them and make them really easy just for guys to use if they're coming home at night time doing their quoting and estimating and tendering. We want them to really feel comfortable opening a computer, that they can open it and everything just works really simply. It's there in front of them. Okay, we won't dwell on this slide too much. As you can see, that it stops there in 2012, and there has been such a great surge and uptake of technology in the past 7 or 8 years. So I have no doubt that curve takes a steep uphill from there. But what this slide actually says to me is that there is such a huge opportunity, and there's a huge opportunity in the next 10 or 20 years to really just to be better, to work with technology and to make the whole construction industry just kind of work together from the ground up. Like I said there, I touched on the guys with the tier 1 and tier 2. They have great solutions, and they're really excelling up there. But it's about getting it down right across the industry. The Australian market. So across Australia, the construction industry employs 1.1 million people, which is it's a staggering number. It's about 10% of the total employable workforce. I'm sure that the numbers are similar in Ireland and the UK. I'm not sure about the US, but I'm sure you guys have a look into that. So the total revenue value is about $350 billion. The small and medium contractors, and I touched on earlier, so we class a small or medium contractor as having less than 19 people or less than 20 people. So they account for 50% of the annual revenue in the construction industry here. Another staggering figure is that there's 345,000 trade and construction businesses in Australia, with only a population of 25 million. It really is a staggering number. 300 of those businesses, or 300,000 of those businesses, are classed as small and medium enterprises. Again, less than 20 people, which is a phenomenal number. This is the number, or these the businesses that we are targeting to help them with their pre-construction process and helping to bring them online. I think this figure is abnormally high in terms of the SME businesses, because here in Australia, once a kind of a young guy comes through as an apprentice or whatever, as soon as they finish their apprenticeship, they're constantly looking to start their own business, whether that's going out and getting their builder's license so they can go into residential construction themselves, or if it's just starting their own subcontracting business. So they've a real strong entrepreneurial mind and kind of great incentives for young guys kind of starting their businesses and going out as well. The industry is heavily reliant on subcontractors as well. Like a residential builder here is very much like a project manager rather than a hands-on builder or a man in a white van who's kind of going out to work every day, actually laying blocks and doing stuff like that, and then coming home at night. With the residential builder, he'll win the job, he'll put it all together, he'll quote it, and they pretty much have subcontractors to do everything. Definitely being Irish and coming over here, it's different to what we experience at home. Like, they even have subcontractors coming in to like do all the siliconing through the whole house or the caulking. It's its own trade. So that's just a kind of a glimpse into how maybe the construction industry is a little bit different over here. Dive into the ConX story. I won't bore you too much with the details, but look, it's good to get a bit of background on it. As I said in the opening there, I came over here with my now wife about 11 years ago. So during the GFC, I came over as a carpenter. I am a carpenter and builder by trade, and I really struggled to be able to find work. And I spent the first 6 months out here labouring, and then did get carpentry work after I kind of got my foot in the door in place. And then from there, I found it kind of, I was able to work my way around because I had experience and I had references and stuff like that. But then myself and my past business partner, we set up a company called Ocean Carpentry, and we found it really, really tough employing carpenters. We had like 10 or 12 guys at any one time, but it was a real struggle to find guys. It was quite a high turnover because the way that it operates in the trade business is that you pretty much just have to take a guy at his word, give him a trial for a week, and if he's good, great, and if he's not, you kind of have to get rid of him and move on. So that's where the first when the first kind of light bulb moment for ConX came, and we started thinking, there's got to be a better way. Like, is there a LinkedIn style platform that can be built there for the construction industry, which would let a guy create a profile, say, with some photos of his work, because everyone has smartphones now in their pocket, so everyone's really proud of their work and they take pictures of jobs. So if you had some photos of your work as a kind of a portfolio, your trade licenses and everything hooked up to an account, it really gives a person a sense of who you are and what your ability is. Like, if my history was in commercial construction, I might not be so good in residential. So that was our first concept, to put a jobs board together. So we did that. We did that really quickly. We got some great early traction. We got some great early traction, as I said. But it wasn't really taking off because we were competing with guys like Seek, which are really big jobs websites, or Indeed, I think, is a famous one around the world as well. So what we decided to do was to really take it to the next level, construction specific, and get into the tendering aspect. So that's a residential builder being able to post his multiple packages for a job online, and then a subcontracting company to be able to come in and look at those plans and be able to send a quote based on that job. And something that we found, the tendering platform was going quite well. There was two options that we launched. We launched originally with just the tendering platform to be able to post jobs out to the wider network, so just to put them out publicly. And then from feedback, we actually found a lot of guys in the smaller end of the market that they like to just keep it amongst subcontractors that they already know, or friends of a friend. So we built a system so you could keep it private as well, and just use the ConX system for managing your whole tendering process, which was a real winner. But what we could see from the back end of our system was that a lot of the subcontractors were still missing deadline dates with getting quotes in, and they were missing, so some of them weren't even sending quotes back at all, which was really amazing for us. If somebody's sending a job and it's worth 50 or 100 grand, and you're not even quoting on it. So that's when we started doing a bit of research and ringing subcontractors, and we were finding that they just didn't have the time or capabilities to be quoting on all these jobs. They kind of had their bit of work they were doing, or hourly rate or whatever, and then they just weren't quoting on everything. That's when we had the concept for integrating a quantity surveyor or a takeoff service into the tendering platform, just to get it humming a bit more smoothly, and have the builders getting the quotes that they need. So we launched that really in our own minds, with being able to focus on the subcontractors. So being able to go to these subcontractors and say, look, we will do the takeoff for you. We'll help you with your quote. and obviously there'll be a cost involved. And what we saw, much to our amazement, was that the big uptake in the quantity surveying service was actually from the builder side. The builders are finding it really valuable for getting costings across the whole job and not having to wait for the subcontractors to come back with their price before they can put a price in. And actually our takeoff for the quantity surveying service was just a little bit out of reach for a lot of the subcontractors in terms of price. They just weren't used to the mindset of paying maybe $300 or $400 or $500 up front to get a takeoff or build quantities done to help them with their quote before they gone on and won a job. So that's when we really the cogs started turning, and we were thinking, well, wouldn't it be great if we could create a really simple way for these guys to be able to do it themselves, to really expedite the process. Because as a carpentry contractor, like this was a real pain in mine. We 2 nights a week, myself and my business partner used to have to put aside, come home from work, print off like a whole set of plans, there's 30, 40 pages in the plan, sit down with highlighters, get all the quantities that we need, and then we email suppliers to get quotes for materials before we could add on top our labor costs. And then you see where I'm going with this. It was just a cumbersome process. So we built a really simple interface, and it's kind of much like AutoCAD that you guys would know, but we've made it so easy that anyone's dad can use it, and that was our ethos building it. So it's as easy as your name, email address, upload plans, and then you can see that page that we're looking at right there. It's all just there in front of you. We'll have a quick look through it in a few minutes, but that was our ethos, and we've really found that this tool that we call Measure, it's really resonated with small and medium contractors. We've had uptake, like a wide uptake here in Australia. We've got customers in the USA, some UK. We've had guys in Ireland using it. So it's been really great. And what that is also doing is it's giving us a really great base of builders and subcontractors for the whole rest of the platform, so we can integrate the tendering aspect. And what that does is it just brings everybody in. Like it's a complete cycle from a builder posting his job to the subcontractor sending back their quotes. So we really feel like Measure has been a real turning point. We launched it as a subscription service. It's really affordable, and it's simple to use, which has been great. Just a quick look into some of the industry problems that we tackle here at ConX. 98% of the world's construction businesses are SMEs, and a lot of them are still operating in the old-fashioned way. One of the biggest competitors we have for our Measure product is guys having to print plans. So an anecdotal tale of one guy that uses in Texas and the USA. He used to drive an hour to the print shop once a week, print plans on A1, come back, have to sit down and use them. And now at ConX, he can just upload the plans, pick the ones that he wants, and have his job done in as quick as 10 or 15 minutes. And just with the telephone, typically what we're seeing is a spike in use of our products between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m., which shows you that these guys are coming home from work late at night, and they're doing all their kind of admin and office work in these hours. So typically, building suppliers, they only work 8 to 5. So what we want to do is integrate a service where you can order your materials and do everything online, so there's no time restrictions. And if we look at kind of email, SMS, and WhatsApp, they're just products that are there in the market, and builders have used them just because it's what they know how to use. For tendering. And you can imagine if you're sending out 10 different tender packages to multiple trades for each one, how messy all the communication can get. So what ConX Tendering is doing is just really streamlining that, getting it all into one place. So just to run you through the life cycle of a project on ConX, so you see out here on the left-hand side, what a builder does, he comes in, he uploads his plans to the tendering, he'll break his package into the multiple individual trade packages, and he can either put them out to the open network, or he can also send them privately to his own guys. So what happens then is the subcontractor, he receives the quote, he opens the plans on ConX, and he can use the measure product to put his takeoff and his quote together. He can then send his quote back to the builder, where the builder can then analyze the quotes and decide who he thinks has who he's going to award the job to. And you can just see out on the right hand side in navy blue that we've got it highlighted there about ordering materials. So that's something we're hoping to build into the product this year, is allowing builders and subcontractors to turn the quotes that they have into material orders. Just a quick look at the competitive landscape out there. So we put this quick graph together with some of the similar softwares that are out there, or some of our competitors. So you can see on the bottom, on the horizontal, that some of the products, can charge up to $500 per month, which is really out of reach for a lot of these subcontractors. And one of our USPs is that we're really affordable, and we're accessible to everybody. Another amazing part about the ConX product is their onboarding time. Like I said earlier, we've made it so simple that even your dad can use it. It's your name, your email address, upload your plans, and once you're in our product, that we have a really intuitive product tours that will take you around. We'll show you how to use the measure product, and it'll almost feel like you already know how to use it. Okay, just to jump in and give you a quick look at our measure product, which has been our leading light in terms of our subscription as a model business over here, and the product that the subcontractors are really loving. So you can just see on the left hand side here that you've got your plans uploaded. So it's as simple as just uploading the PDFs, and this is the page you land on. So say if I was a concreter, what I could do is grab the polygon tool. You just click around each corner, as you can see that we're doing here. Just click on each point to change direction, and double click to finish. So you see really quickly there that it throws up your meter squared, and then what I can do in the depth column, if I know that the slab is say 150 mil, I just throw in 0.15, and it gives me the meters cubed of concrete that I need for that product. So just another example there might be if say I'm a carpenter, I can grab the lens tool, which will give me a linear measurement. If I was measuring skirtings, I just click around the outside of this bedroom, just similar to how the last tool works. And again, you just double click to finish. And what that does is it throws up the measurement here, as you can see. So another thing that we can do with this measurement is we can really simply duplicate that measurement. So if we wanted to reuse that skirting measurement of the perimeter of that bedroom, say for measuring the internal walls for painting or gyprocking or whatever it might be, you can just duplicate that measurement, rename it bedroom walls, and then what you can do, you can throw in the height of those walls. So if you know it is 2.7 meters high, and it really quickly gives you the meters squared. So that's just a look at how the measuring tool works. It's quite simple. You guys that will be familiar with AutoCAD will see this as being quite a simple product. But just to put it lightly, it's been game changing for guys, if you can imagine, rather than printing plans. This is just an example of how an electrician might use it. Or even plumbers if they're counting toilets or bathroom vanities, or someone just even counting doors. So it's really simple just to keep on top of everything you've allowed for. And then what you can do with this, then you can export this marked up PDF, and you can attach it to your quote, so you can very clearly show to the general contractor, look, this is everything I've allowed for. If I've missed something, let me know. But at the end of the day, everything that I have allowed for is clearly shown. And then when it comes to doing the job, that there's no ambiguities as to what I've allowed for or what I haven't allowed for. Yeah, so that's just a quick dive into the measure product. I won't run through too much of the tendering aspect of it because it's just a kind of a forward and back streamlined system. Just a quick look. This is a guy, Adam Wardle. He is a form worker here in North Sydney. He's transferred to using ConX for all of his takeoffs. He's cut his takeoff time down to just a few minutes instead of taking up to 3 hours to do every job. It's really great to hear the feedback from guys like this about how we're helping them win more work. So that's a look into ConX and also a quick glimpse into the Australian construction market. Really looking forward to hearing if you guys have any questions about any of the presentation. Again, thanks for the opportunity to present to you guys here at the Construction IT Alliance. And my details are there on screen. If anyone wants to get in touch with me, it'd be really great to hear from you. Cheers.
Thank you, Keith. Very, very interesting. The idea of developing a LinkedIn type platform for construction, it's such a simple idea. And sometimes I suppose when one develops solutions like this, is sometimes the simplest idea is the best idea. So if any of you have any questions for Keith, please jump in. I have maybe just one or two just to set the scene, and we'll obviously come back at the end for possibly more questions. You mentioned there at the very start about the fact that you had obviously there's a quantity surveying function. I mean, I'm a quantity surveyor myself, so I'm really interested in that. But there was other functions like hiring a team and developing a profile. Could you maybe explain that a bit more?
Yeah, so the kind of jobs board, it gives you the ability just to, much like LinkedIn, so you can jump on, upload a photo of yourself, your work, you can attach all your licenses. So that's the kind of profile aspect. And if I'm an employer, I can come in and post a job, and if the guys apply for that job, you know, it's quite transparent in that you can see the guy and see his abilities, maybe before you make contact. So it's quite easy to kind of look through. Okay, this is a guy I think that we could work with.
So is it effectively a trading platform?
Yeah, so that's what we call a kind of jobs marketplace. So we also have like a bit of like a tendering marketplace, which we're undergoing a kind of a new or a redesign on it, just to make it even a bit easier to use and more just I suppose just more user friendly for smaller builders.
And just my last question would be the cost, the economics of all this. You talk about being really competitive compared to your competitors. I suppose BillSoft that you mentioned there would be one of the leading competitors here in Ireland and have been for the last, I don't know.
Yeah, that's an Australian company.
I know.
They're just down the road.
CostX, another product. But what does it cost? I mean, is it as low as $30 a month, or how does it work?
Yeah, so just one seat or one license is $30 a month. So yeah, it's nearly like as cheap as a 6-pack of beer. That's all.
Yeah. So any questions from anyone else that were with us this morning? Please jump in. Okay. One more question for you there, Keith. How many members have you got? How many SMEs are on your system?
So in terms of the network, we've got close to 20,000 people. That's a mix of individual tradespeople and companies. And then in terms of paying customers for the measure product, we've got about 300 paying customers. So we only launched it, the payment model, about 12 months ago. So we have about 4,000 users, but about 3,000 of them are paying. So we are increasing and getting better, and hoping the next kind of 12 months can be really big for us.
That's really good. And you're starting to also roll out the service in the US, is that right? Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah. So when we launched it, it's a bit trickier actually to work in the imperial measurements. I don't know how they get anything done over there, the feet and inches, but we converted our system into feet and inches as well. And we haven't
I
been.
think you'd find that it would be well received in Ireland. The idea that, you know, the simplicity of it, the accessibility of it, the cost of it. You'd be surprised. You know, it could prove very popular this side of the world as well. So
Yeah, well, we have done some we've done some we've done some test marketing in the UK, and we've got quite a few subscribers and customers in the UK, and guys over there are really enjoying it. So there's no reason why I can't do the same in Ireland.
Okay, so thank you very much. What time is it there? About 7 p.m.
Yeah, just 7:30. So
Okay. Well, we're getting some Australian weather here at the moment, so and we're keeping it. So listen, maybe you might stay on. There might be a few questions later on, if you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely stay on. Look forward to hearing the rest.
That was really, really interesting, and we really wish you all the best with that great product. So our second speaker this morning is Paul McCormack. Paul is a program manager with Belfast Met. Paul, I've got a very long bio here, but I'm going to sort of summarize it if I may. Yeah. So Paul is a research and innovation specialist. He's an expert in technology transfer. He's also project coordinator of the European H2020 BIMcert project, and also many other international R&D projects. So a lot of experience, Paul. We're delighted to have you with us this morning from sunny Newry. So if you want to come in and do your...
Good morning, folks, or good afternoon. I see a lot of names in front of me, and the only one that I know is in the Southern Hemisphere is Keith Moore. So good evening, Keith. Alan, don't give up your day job and never become a weather reporter, because if this is Australian weather, I'm not going to move to Australia.
Well, it's lovely here.
Yeah, it's a bit overcast here in the north of the island, but it's not bad. It's dry.
Yeah.
Folks, I'm going to see, we're relying on Shannon, and I'm going to see if Shannon then can pass me over the controls for the screen. Can you, Shannon, please? And then there's a small video.
You just press this share screen, and then the application window.
We're going to get you to run the small animation first, Shannon, just to give you everybody an overview of what BIMcert is. It's a small 5-minute animation which will give you the Hitchhiker's Guide to BIMcert. Can you run that from your end, Shannon, please?
Yeah.
We have no sound there now. Shannon.
Yeah, one sec. There we go.
29% of energy-related carbon dioxide emissions.
Can you hit full screen, Shannon, please?
Resulted in a growing urgency to address energy and emissions from buildings and construction, so as to meet 2020 targets as specified by the European Union. As a process.
We're missing some text, aren't we?
Paul,
can you be better to play it from your end, Paul?
It'll probably end. Listen, let it sit. All of my slides, and think with all the other slides, and that animation link, Shannon will send it out to all those that are subscribed.
Thank you.
Apologies.
One of the things we have to get used to in this COVID lockdown pandemic is the effect it has on our lives and our everyday lives. And we're supposed to be getting used to technology, but like everything else, technology has its limitations, and most of the limitations start with the human, as I was talking earlier on to Alan with the fat thumb syndrome, hitting the wrong buttons. But rather than delay the presentation, have a look at that animation. It captures all of what the BIMcert program actually is about. It was designed by the team and then built and put together with Cheryl Lynch in FAC, the Future Analytics in Dublin, and with Barry McCauley in Technology University Dublin. And what it does do, it demystifies the acronym BIM. We're all used to it because we use it every day, but to the ordinary user, our target for our audience would be afraid even of those 3 letters, that acronym. There's a fear factor, there's a technology factor, and that, in order to overcome that, we did that animation with the team, and that is a very simple introduction. So if I try to get in here and I share a screen, 2 seconds. There's us. Right. So. Now, is that all visible to everybody, please? Just to check.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, if I move this. Right. As was introduced by Alan there and Shannon, thank you very much to CitA for the invitation to speak to the Northern Conference today and to speak to the team. I will make no assumption of who the audience are. All I have is in front of me is a list of names and no idea what the technology background or where you're from. What we will give is what we have called our new skills certification system for what we define as a BIM-savvy construction sector. And when we talk about the construction sector, we talk about everything, the whole supply chain, because our target is to reduce the energy footprint of construction. So that's from everything from off-site manufacturing, shipping, haulage, building, maintaining, and demolition, the whole way right through. The BIM Cert team, we were the first Horizon 2020 project to be led by an FE college in the UK. And the teams drawn from Ireland, Macedonia, Croatia, Portugal, and the UK ourselves with CITB and Belfast Met. Our Dublin partners were Technology University Dublin, though when they started out, they were the old Bolton Street Tech or the DCU, and Future Analytics in Dublin as well. And the team that we have were a cross-functional team drawn from academia, drawn from industry, and drawn from the technology end of the construction side, and it gave us a great blend. One of the things I like to do in a presentation is, if we're doing a presentation, doesn't matter whether it's face-to-face or webinar, is to challenge the audience first of all. In today's new normal, where we're all trying to navigate in a world of flux where things are changing and we don't have all the information at our fingertips, how can new technology, new skills, and new opportunities give us a better grip on what we're looking to do or what we are trying to do? How can the BIM skills help us transition, not just ourselves, but the sector to a new normal practice? How can the digital transformation help the construction sector? How can BIM not be the tool, but be one of the tools in a digital skills toolkit for all of construction? And how can digital tools be an enabler to address energy use across the entire supply chain? As I said, as we're caught in the middle of this COVID-19 lockdown and it's gradually been eased across Europe, there are many questions that we all have. And we're all stuck in what I call the uncertainty of seeking answers. But if we wait for somebody else to provide the answer, we're going to end up being behind the 8 ball and not being ahead where we should be. And we should be able to use, and we could be able to use the technology that's there now, the avenues that are there, and the learning avenues that are there to be able to advance in this time, in this pandemic-induced social isolation, because the relationship between education and technology has now moved ahead. What does BIM mean for the entire building chain? It crosses everything. As we said earlier, right from construction to destruction and all in between, including renovation, how we design, operate, build and maintain, and how we can use the digital transformation step changes to be able to move that forward. Our own program was looking to prepare the architecture, engineering and construction sector for the double challenge of, we'll turn phones off, my apologies. For the double challenge of energy efficiency and digitalization. How we not just get the construction sector to move forward at a step, but to move forward with multiple goals. And how we have developed our e-learning platform to put the spotlight on BIM as not the tool, as I've said, but an enabling tool to support these steps and support the steps forward. BIM's on a journey, like in any other digital transformation in any sector. It's looking at where we have come in 2018 with our bid, and we won the bid and we're now working forward. But the build-up platform run by the Horizon 2020 EU Commission, we're looking at this long ago and looking to see how they could stimulate the construction sector through national qualifications, through status quo analysis, through national roadmaps, and then looking at qualification and training schemes, and that's where BIM Cert come in. How we have looked at across Europe, trying to standardize the accreditation, trying to standardize the qualification. So you end up with skills mobility, vocational mobility for all of those within the supply chain, and all of those within the sector. BIMcert's based upon our original bid, and it's still there, it's based upon 3 foundation steps: to enable, to achieve, and to utilize. To enable collaborative working across the whole sector, from design to development, and how we optimize the embedded energy within that system. To achieve the efficient ongoing management of a building in terms of its energy and fabric, and how we optimize the operational energy. And then to utilize the tools and utilize the digitalization as an enabling tool and methodology to provide our optimization in sustainable energy. One of the main factors in BIMcert in achieving success was because we were grounded in industry. We were grounded through our BIMcert strategy compass, which is the 7 core application partners we talked about earlier. We have a wide industry advisory partnership led by O'Hara McGovern. CitA are part of that, and they continually inform us and continue reiterate all our work. And then we have the technology advisory partnership led by James Hardy, originally of Carrick MacCoss, but now professor in the Copenhagen School of Design. That mix with external stakeholders and wider support network ensured that anything we did in BIMcert was grounded in industry. It is what industry asked for, it's what industry required, and not what we thought industry required. We went through a continual iteration process. This was work package 3 led by Future Analytics in Dublin. And they went through all of the trials and the testing of all the tools that were developed by Technology University of Dublin under Barry McCauley, and our own team, Andrew Hamilton and Eduardo Rebello in Belfast met. The tools were developed, they were tried, they were tested, they went through a series of 20 different trials with the support of Future Analytics and IECE in Macedonia, and then were changed and altered in order to meet purpose. So we road tested everything we did before it was released, and we made sure that everything there was developed in order to enhance industry at a speed and at a pace that industry required. The BIMcert program wasn't just answering what we saw, but it was answering an EU-wide problem. This, as I said earlier on, is a series of interventions led by Horizon 2020, the European Commission, looking to increase the CO2 or reduce the CO2 footprint of energy construction and increase energy efficiency. Looking at EU strategies built on that and EU policies for approaching NZ buildings, and then how digitalization goes hand in hand with that, and how digitalization is an enabler to provide the opportunity, but importantly, to train the workforce enabled to handle all of the opportunities and handle all of the challenges. In our research in the program, before we even started developing, looking at the state of the art with the CITB in Northern Ireland, our feedback, nearly 90% of global business recognize that digitalization and intelligent automation is critical to their success. 70% of construction companies believe that if they don't adopt digital tools, they go out of business. So based on those facts, the message for us in BIMcert was, how do we transition additional workforce? How do we optimize the opportunities presenting themselves? How do we deploy that digital workforce at scale? And how do we overcome that digital dissonance? That fear factor, even of a simple thing, not just about technology, but even the acronym of BIM. And how we then overcome the barriers and circumnavigate the barriers. Well, 29% of companies believe that disappointing BIM adaptation is due to lack of knowledge. 38% don't acknowledge BIM because of budgetary issues, because of the costs, and the perceived costs that they would have without looking at other opportunities. The same percentage points are lack of support from employees. How do we get employee buy-in? And then BIMcert tackles these problems, reinforced with our knowledge from our technology partners and our industry partners. We looked at all of these barriers and designed the tools for that. We overcame the challenges of it, making sure it was a largely and a widely recognized scheme. We looked originally at City and Guilds. We looked at other awarding bodies. And now we're down that road, we're looking at how do we transfer BIM into a digital passport for workers? How do we give them the skills in a passport that give them that skills transferability? It gives them that vocational opportunity, but also gives them that knowledge that they require to move and to move the sector ahead. Without educating the workforce, the sector can't move. How do we then improve the lack of awareness of the industry to the new methods of digitalization, and then lobby government and public authorities for that mandate? If we look at some of the mandates in the UK, where in the large government construction tenders, BIM is a part of the prerequisite. How do we improve that mandate and make it a level platform all across Europe? And as you said there at the end, the former bricks and mortar industry has now entered the digital age, and how do we facilitate that? One of the things we looked at was how do we utilize BIM as that digital tool to close the energy gap in all of the construction sector? From the potential energy, how do we use it in planning and designing to target the energy savings during the design phase? How do we tackle the embedded energy and capture that and reduce that in the construction side where the energy savings are designed to achieve energy optimization? In the operation phase, how do we then minimize the operational energy and give it that greener footprint? Achieving the energy savings and delivering those. And importantly then, the last one not to forget is that sustainable energy through the end of life. How do we measure, capture and reduce the energy savings through inbuilt performance of building management? Some of our feedback, and again through our technical partners and through our academic links with all of the different academic partners we have, including Technology University Dublin, is how do we overcome the upskilling barriers? We're looking at what the EU classified as the blue collar workers, that wedge of the majority of workers in construction who have the skills and the ability to do the work but don't have the certification. So how do we close that gap when that's a problem, but other problems were identified? CapEx and OpEx costs, the time and availability. How do we make training suitable and affordable to fit into the work plan and life plan of the workers? How do we design new suitable pathways for those people that are in work? Not for new students or full-time students, but how do we design it as a part-time student and in bite size that we'll talk about later on? And how do we design alternative education highways other than the traditional education options that aren't feasible for all of our audience? How do we overcome the upskilling barriers to make sure that there's a suitability for different profiles and they need real-time skill needs? Not just the full curriculum, but just the parts that they need to do their work. How do we look at the energy modelling, where BIM is equipped to become the backbone of the new informed way of working in the construction sector? How do we use those digital tools and enable the sector through that digital transformation pathway to model the energy consumption of a building and be able to prove that, but enable all of the team involved in all of the cycle to be able to do that? One of the things we looked at in our BIM toolkit and our digital toolkit is how do we introduce skills personalisation? Rather than a bland curriculum that's open to all and available to all, how do we personalise it to give the skills to the person that they need to do their piece of work better, faster and more efficient and produce the energy savings it's done? How do we differ from the usual training schemes? And that is in personalising our training programme to make sure it fits what they need and use digital technology as that stepping stone. And then provide the comparisons, emphasising the benefits of digitalisation at their industry level and importantly at the individual level. How do we overcome all the different upskilling barriers? There are different profiles. If we look at the full chain within the construction sector, look at all the different workers, each different stage. Every one of those different workers all face different challenges, both in work and out of work, how their time's short, how the opportunities there in their work, and how we made the team and made their profile fit for that, for their real-time skill needs. This slide probably is, when we started looking at BIMcert and bringing the team together, there was a risk and there's an opportunity, but somebody has to take the risk, and that's where you see the 7 partners. We have developed a real cohesive partnership to achieve what was thought at the start was impossible because of the number of challenges we faced. The BIMcert program itself doesn't have to be a struggle. We look across our platform and we look at the people that we had from the internal partners, the technology advisory partnership, the industry advisory partnership. We were able to share the risk and share the rewards, but that internal stakeholder support and external stakeholder support meant that we had a smoother pathway for ourselves, for our project, but importantly, for our learners. One of the first things we did is, rather than have a full curriculum, we said we'd break all of the training down into micro modules in order to engage and overcome the barriers, make sure the pedagogy was right, the learning was right, but break it down into small micro modules and bite-sized learning that would take 30 minutes, 40 minutes online. You didn't have to devote a full week or a full day of your time away from the desk, and it could be done at your desk at work or at home. So it's built on the online platform and micro modules. We also designed it not to be a linear progression. Each pathway, the learner chose their own pathway and their own accreditation and their own micro modules they required for their job. It gives them that bite-sized micro accreditation where it's almost like that Tetris game. Those that are old enough maybe on the webinar to know it, how you put the links together to suit yourself. Everybody's learning jigsaw is a different picture. It's not one size fits all. Everybody has a different set of skill sets, different set of needs, different set of opportunities, and different set of motivation. How we built that together into what we call our flexibility and agile learning allowed people to build their own learning jigsaw and build their own picture. In the 2 work packages led by Belfast Met and by Technology University Dublin, and with the support of IECE in Macedonia, we built the learning into different strides. They're not a linear pathway. They allowed the user to take whatever steps they need. Stride 1 was the fundamentals. Stride 2A then moved them into the digital fundamentals and BIM fundamentals. Stride 2B into the digital construction. Stride 2C into the energy, and then Stride 3 into the newer and more advanced opportunities. But that laid it out there in a simple model where everybody could see it and see the parts that they needed. It allowed the learner to get a picture of where they are, where they want to go, and how to get there. And it broke it down in each one of those strides into modules and then micro modules where the learners can select what they want. There's no predetermined course here where you must do module A, module B, module C, and do it in that order. The learner themselves were able to take the steps that they wanted across that and move between the different opportunities. That allowed us to develop a tapestry of learning fit for all of our learners, from contractors to consultants, subcontractors, the professional workers in offices to those on site. Our delivery was either through your portal, through your tablet, or even through your mobile phone, where we had an app for the learning you could log on to our platform. So it allowed the bite-sized learning at a time that suited them and in a format that they were comfortable with. So you overcame the traditional barriers to learning. You were able then to make learning accessible, which meant that we were able to stimulate all of our learners and bring them in. Our bite-sized modules in digital construction, maturity levels, and the different dimensions meant it was suitable for all different profiles and in real time met their skills needs and the opportunities that they have acquired. We then looked at different modules with 32 different modules designed within the program. And this covered all of the different opportunities from the digital skills, as we talked about earlier, right through to practical skills and possible use and application. As you do the training online, at the end of each training module, we introduced what we call gamification to make it more engaging, to allow the learner to reflect. And these were small quizzes. You could call them mini exams if you want, where people were able then to go and reflect on their learning and then see the embedded learning for themselves and do it in their own time. But we're able to build that flexibility in to make sure it applied across all of our learners, to make sure that all of the energy efficiency then was embedded within the programs. So rather than look at it as a major step, where you look at the north face of the Niagara in one climb, how we broke it down into small steps, almost scaffolding steps, to make that journey safe, supported, and enabled as every stage of the platform you went up. The BIM methodology then was delivered what we call our blended learning platform. There's a lot of talk about blended learning now, especially in the COVID crisis, and a lot of different opportunities and different people are talking about it. The majority is what we call online learning, where materials are put up and students are taking their classes online. That didn't and wouldn't have worked for BIMcert based on our research and based on feedback from industry and technology. The blended learning modules were put up and supported in a structured opportunity, but the learner were able to access them at a time and a place convenient to themselves. They were supported webinars, they were supported structured questions and opportunities, but it meant that it was then the barriers for the learner were overcome. The support mechanisms from all the academic partners were put in place, and the learning then was that pathway mapped out by the learner themselves, down into their different units and their different access points. As we mentioned earlier, we looked at all the different accreditations and we're still working with them. We have the awarding bodies in Northern Ireland, OCN, we have our level 4 and level 5 BIM qualifications and digital qualifications there. We're working with the BRE Academy and Building Smart to how we work with them in the different areas they're doing and sharing modules with them. But one of the ultimate goals we're looking at is CPD engagement. How we, as we have demystified BIM, how do we demystify CPD and make it not just the premise of the professional, but bring it into the whole workforce and give the workers that BIM digital passport they require for vocational mobility and give them that skills passport. One of the opportunities also with our academic partners in Technology University of Dublin and ourselves in Belfast Met is how we map the accreditation. How do we take localized accreditation and bring that across an EU-wide platform for other countries within Europe that are not at the same levels of BIM maturity as Ireland and the UK, on how we provide that beacon and that light for those to follow. In our current lockdown, we have the governments in Macedonia and Croatia using the BIM platform for the vocational training. Some of their schools and colleges didn't have the online provision that they required, and they've come and they're using the BIM Cert platform to provide that learning for the vocational students. That's a vote of confidence in the model and the product that we have designed that is fit for industry, because it was designed for industry and based on industry requirements. And how we now move that across from local qualifications to the CPD learning, use that e-platform and the micro modules to give that learning plan and training plan for all of work. If we look at the benefit flow, right across industry as referred to throughout this presentation, from the start of construction right through to the end, how do we enable more efficient project management? How do we reduce waste? How do we reduce design and performance gaps and achieve more energy efficiency? That's all captured within the BIM Cert modules. Sorry, again, sort of turned it. That's all captured in the BIM Cert modules right across, and it allows and enables all of industry to capture that and to utilize that. It's not one size fits all. It's specifically designed in bespoke modules, bespoke bite-sized training, so that all of the sector can fit in and use that. We use our goals and impacts then to make sure that we're able to achieve that and deliver that. This slide gives you an indication of what we've achieved in the 18 months of BIM Cert. Almost 190,000 engagements on our social media platform. 2,000 plus sector engagements right across all of our internal and external sector partners. Induced energy savings, one of our key targets, over 30 gigawatts per year up until January 2020. That has now gone beyond that since the program has finished, but we're still promoting and using this. We have 32 micro modules in our curriculum across the 5 different strides, from BIM Ready, Introduction to BIM Fundamentals, Digital Collaboration and Construction, Slide 2A, Introduction to Low BIM and Energy Efficiency, and then Slide 3, BIM for Clients. Those are the key achievements in the one slide of what our project has achieved. But since we've finished in January, what next? We didn't wait till January then to look forward. We have planned this the last 2 years as well, where other BIM partners and BIM projects have come together. We have Limerick IT and Liz O'Brien coming in and join us in what we have now called BIMalliance. Over 100 partners across 24 European countries. Key goal is to build that digital library of tools that we've all developed, bring those modules together and map those out for industry so that all of industry can share all of the modules. How do we then use digitalization as the vital enabler of net zero construction? BIMalliance will also support the digital transformation of the environment further. We'll stimulate the demand for sustainable energy skills and provide further clear upskilling transactions and that recognition and accreditation is required across Europe. We want to be inspiring the demand through our latest project offering that we're developing is IDSIS. It aligns, access, assigns, accredits, and provides assistance right across that digital transformation for the construction sector. And we're working on that again with the partners, Technology University of Dublin, Future Analytics in Dublin, ourselves, and the partners across Europe. Our BIMalliance focus is how do we help Europe achieve the decarbonisation strategy and that for the energy roadmap in 2050? How do we achieve greater dissemination and communication? How can BIMalliance, this is a challenge that we're facing, become the technical body for Europe? As a virtual centre of excellence, how do we provide that support for industry, but also provide the advice then for the public sector? How do we exploit the materials developed to date with all the BIM partners by pulling them together into one website and one platform? How do we then further that skills passport for workers and develop a pan-European scheme for competencies and qualifications that allow the vocational mobility and overcome the skill shortages that's been faced up until recently within the construction sector by allowing people to work smarter and be able to work them on better platforms to achieve greater efficiencies and greater outcome. How do we then also share our knowledge, as we talked, with other European countries that have lower BIM maturity models, so that there's a level platform, and that transferability provides opportunities all across Europe for Irish industry and Irish construction sector. How do we achieve more positive impacts in the projects related to construction skills and the sustainable energy to make sure that we have the lowest footprint? Further BIMalliance is to provide the unification of qualifications right across, and to provide and unite construction technologies, making sure there's transparency. We've talked through the whole presentation here about that mysticism of the acronym BIM. Take that away, strip it down, and give people the bare fundamentals of the digital toolkit they require. One of the other opportunities we're working with, and the lead partners were Hiram McGovern, again supported with Technology University Dublin under Alan Hoare and Avril Behan, is our Centre of Excellence for Digital Construction. There's an opportunity for the position that Ireland is now in to become the lead partner in a virtual Centre for Excellence across Europe, to share our knowledge and to receive further learning from other partners, to support smart construction, to share knowledge, to establish a skills hub, to develop BIM training and digital transformation further, and become key to transforming and changing the face of the construction sector, and importantly, assist industry to reduce the carbon footprint of their sector. As I said, the industry champions are Hiram McGovern, based here in your international company. Industry representation is Technology Dublin under Alan Hoare and Suzanne Purcell under CitA. Our Republic of Ireland Academia is Avril Behan in Technology University Dublin, Alan Hoare, and Elizabeth O'Brien in Limerick Institute. Northern Ireland Academia are University of Ulster, Jervis Cunningham, Neil Hewitt, and myself in Belfast Met. And the industry representatives are our Macedonian partners, our Croatian partners, our Portuguese partners, and again, key partner there is our colleague from Carrick Across, James Hardy, in Copenhagen, and his expertise on blockchain technology and how we use that within our Centre of Excellence. Our focus: reduce energy savings, reduce energy targets, and achieve the energy savings in the sector. Disseminate and communicate all of the work we've done to date and more. Provide accreditation, certification, and the transferability for all those that engage. Enable the workers to exploit their skills to the full to achieve greater efficiency and greater reward for their efforts. Develop future collaborative opportunities and provide that BIM skills passport for workers. Folks, the website's there, the tag is there. You're welcome to go on to the platform, and the training platform are still open. As we said, they've been used by the international partners and by the Macedonian and Croatian vocational and educational sector. You're more than welcome to go on and try the tools out, come back with feedback to us so we can redevelop and reiterate as we move forward into our next phase of our work. That's the end of my presentation. Hopefully, the Northern accent wasn't too strong on you this morning. And if you have any questions, I'd welcome those.
Paul, thank you so much. Always inspired by your presentations. The positivity that just exudes from you is it's really fantastic. Just to remind everyone that you've joined the CitA Regional Northern meeting this morning. We've had our second presentation, Paul McCormack from Belfast Met. And Paul, just one question to you, with a few questions on the chat there. You know, it seems to me, I suppose, as an educator, that all that great work you've done with BIMcert and all those modules, that could be made available to our universities and our institutes of technology across the island to help upskill our students, because all the colleges are doing separate things, but there could be some consistency by offering that out to the colleges.
If we look where we are at the minute, Alan, and we look across, there's maybe 20 or 30 on the call, and everybody's working from their office, which is a bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, in their homes. So instead of being involved in 5 or 6 universities, they're now involved in their own university. There are maybe 30 universities featured in this call. How do we use the digital tools that are at our fingertips to enhance the industry, enhance our own knowledge? They are there, they're developed, and we've talked about this in the past, how the new normal that we're now going to come out of this COVID crisis into. William Butler Yeats in 1916 said, all is changed utterly. And one of the things that will change, and it's going to be changed beyond our current comprehension, is the field of education and the field of training. Do we need bricks and mortar? Do we need to bring everybody into one central location? How do we navigate social isolation there? Whereas we provide remote training, accessible training, using these tools, using the skill sets that are developed, and reach out to the masses. So instead of Alan Hoare standing in front of a class in Technology University Dublin of 20 or 25, you can be in front of a class of 50 or 60. Without the need for socialization, without the need for providing infrastructure for that, and being able to reach, and you would have a richer and more engaging experience for you and for the student if it's done properly, what we call beyond blended. And the tools are there. They're there for the use of all the partners, they're there for the use of all the partner countries. And that's one of the goals of our BIM Centre of Excellence, is to provide that opportunity for that beyond blended learning to all.
Very good. Paul, we have a question from Carl Dempsey there. For contractors, site-based staff, do you see BIM becoming part of the apprenticeship curriculums, or is it there already?
It's not there yet because education is playing catch-up. If you look at the apprenticeship model, especially here in the UK, it's based on predetermined need as perceived by the Education Authority. One of the tools that we developed and tried during the testing is how do we reach out to people and say, we did a number of what we call coffee or tea break training sessions, small 30-minute sessions in the tea hut with the people on their mobile phone. It doesn't matter who you are, how qualified you are, the one point of access everybody has is a mobile phone. We developed the app, with the app linked you into the training program, and you could do a 20-minute or 25-minute training session with the team in the tea hut. That can be applied to anybody, doesn't matter what age or what background. But importantly, the mobile phone is a two-way communication. If Carol, if you're training somebody out on site and you want to see, have they done the job properly, they can take a photograph of that cold bridge that they're doing, upload it to you so you have a digital record of the job being done before that cavity is closed. So not only is it training the person, but it's also giving you access to information without having to go to site, and it's giving you a digital record. And if we use the blockchain technology for the security of that and the authenticity, it gives the owner of the building then a digital footprint of what's done. So in short, the answer is yes.
Yeah, and I think, is Avril there with us this morning? Has Avril got any comments there? Do you wanted to come in and pop something in the chat there?
Good morning, everyone. I've nothing to add there on what Paul has said. I suppose just to say that I know that there were discussions in the Republic on adding both BIM and Lean into the apprenticeship curriculum, but I don't think that has progressed much further at the moment, but I do think it's in mind for the next iteration of the apprenticeship syllabus. But certainly some of the units within BIM Cert could very directly be added into the existing apprenticeship curriculum, and it can be done very flexibly, as Paul says, through mobile phones or whatever. So yeah. Thanks for that.
Okay, no problem. Just to assure you all, we are on time, even though we're kind of blending the questions in as we go along, and we will have our third speaker in a few minutes. If Keith's still with us there, Keith, do you have any observations on BIM in Australia, and whether SMEs are starting to engage with it?
Yeah, actually, I was going to jump in and ask you a question, Paul. That was all very interesting. I suppose it's a bit of a loaded question for myself because our tool deals mostly in 2D plans. But how far away do you think personally that, I suppose, the ubiquitous, 2D plans are ubiquitous? Do you think that BIM can come in and take that over? And just how far away do you think that could be? Because typically we see definitely in the residential industry, everything is still done completely on 2D plans, and quotes are done on 2D plans, and the construction itself is. So what does it look like bringing BIM into this part of the industry, and how far away do you think it is?
One of the simplest things that we found to try and target, but the hardest to achieve, was to overcome people's fear factor of technology and BIM. In the number of trials that we ran with companies, one of which was the lead partner, O'Hare McGovern, we put everybody through BIM level 3 in our platform. And this is everybody from the receptionist right through to the managing director, 35 members of the team. And the majority of the team were what I would call the middle wage. These were people of my age, I may not look up, but only 45 plus, who have the skills, but maybe not the certification, so they can't move jobs and they don't have that vocational mobility. And once we get over the fear factor of A, the learning experience, they didn't want to go back into a classroom, and B, technology is as simple as your mobile phone. They're now sharing digital documents from the head office to the site, to the brickies, to the joiners and the plasterers. And that's now finding its way in, Keith. And it's not a technology barrier, it's a human barrier. And once you overcome that, you look at everybody in site. If you're out in site today or tomorrow, everybody's got a mobile phone in their back pocket or in their coat pocket. And that's your best way of communicating in real time and in making sure that the information that you pass on is correct and the latest document is there. You could be working with a 2D plan that could be a month out of date and not know it.
I mean, I have an observation there, Keith, on that. I mean, okay, I'm an educationist, I'm not an industry person. It just makes more sense to navigate designs in a third or multi-dimension as opposed to 2D. BIM will come and will become prevalent right across the industry. And I'm assuming technology companies like yours will be ready for that next wave. You know, I think one of the things that's coming out of this morning, one of the key themes this morning is the democratization of digital. Digital is for everyone, not just the larger contractor, the larger design house. BIM is for the small contractor, subcontractor, you know, students in colleges. It's for everybody. And it's about moving out of this sort of flat 2D PDF industry focus that we've had for years. As a quantity surveyor that worked in the industry for over 20 years, when I got particularly information from structural engineers or mechanical electrical engineers, we were getting 3D, we were getting models, we were getting multidimensional, and we could visualize things much easier. And if you can imagine as a trade contractor pricing a job, if you can give him the quantities from the model, then all of a sudden you're actually comparing not the quantity, but it's the price, it's the cost per square meter, cost per linear meter. So therefore you've got direct comparison, because a lot of these contractors, who respect them, they may make mistakes in taking the quantities off.
Yeah.
It's the mistakes, so if you take out the risk of the quantity, then you've got real comparative analysis there, you know.
Well, I suppose just for debate purposes, like for me, the construction industry, it is the way it is because, like, so contractors up the top, if you're a building owner, you want 3 builders to go out on a job, and each builder wants 3 people to go out on the job, and the whole way up the chain, people are hoping that you miss something and you underquote.
Yeah,
that's there's no doubt about it.
But then there's going to be a variation or a claim, you know.
Exactly. But if you give a total sum price as a subcontractor and you've missed something, like, why do people always go with the cheapest price?
I know.
You know, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, and I'm not disputing for 1 second that BIM is coming, and I'm excited for it. But the industry itself, I think, needs real change to be able to embrace this. And I'm seeing it from these guys, and I'm talking to them every day. And these guys, some people struggle to turn on a computer, and they're running businesses. So that it's still, there's a lot of education there. That's just kind of my perspective from speaking to these on the ground.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Keith, one of the things we did, maybe I didn't touch on it enough, was not only did we remove the barriers and the traditional barriers perceived that people to re-engage in education, because we were targeting not younger students, although we did use those, that middle gap, people that had left education a number of years ago, how do we re-engage with them? But importantly, the human interaction is just as important. So during the learning process, the partner IST in Portugal built the platform, Antonio, as you are. We built gamification into it. If you look at all the youngsters today, they're all playing games online. They're all getting their rewards. They're all getting their points. They're all getting to the next level. That gamification background and that gamification learning curve we used in BIMstart. So as people completed their micro modules, people completed the bite-sized training, they were building their points through the micro qualifications and then through to accreditation. So that human interaction and working with people that engage in that. So you talked about there, Keith, people that can't switch on a computer, but they can sit and play games and racing cars and everything all day. How we merged the two was integral to that. And I know Alfred might want to come in here. It was Barry in Technology University Dublin that built that in. So you didn't have to sit for 3 years to get a qualification. You were engaged from the first 30 minutes you got in, and you could see the levels and the pathways. And it wasn't a straight line. You could take the path that suited you. So it left it wider, open, more engaged, and it kept that link that we required, Keith.
Yeah, awesome. Well, actually, really interested just to kind of try it myself and get it like gamification. There's no doubt about it. It's a great way of engaging and keeping users interested.
If it works for millions of 18-year-olds, why would it not work for us?
Yeah.
We have a comment there from Anne Bonner in Letterkenny IT. COVID-19 will certainly do much to promote digitalization, as all of our combined efforts have done. So can anyone come in on post-COVID-19? I mean, what's,
I give you the Paul McCormick view.
Yeah, go on, and don't be
no. And I tell you, no. If you look at the country we're in, and I think I said it to you the other day, we're going back in some ways to almost 150, 200 years ago. If you look where Auntie's from Letterkenny, if you look at the people that did the weaving, the cottage weavers that wove the cloth from McGee's, they did it remotely and they were able to feed in the end of the stream. They didn't have to go to a big factory. If we look at this at post-COVID, learning doesn't have to be done in the university, it can be done at home. Learning doesn't have to be part of a 5 years or 3 year process, it can be done in small chunks that you need and you require. But it has to be done in a very structured fashion, as we've done with Technology University Dublin and the partners, where it's reaching out, it's supported, it's structured, there's a clear pathway there, and people can get on and off at each stop that they require. It's not a continual journey. If you think a couple of years ago, if you're doing a 4-year degree, if you finished after year 3, you left, you had nothing. Once you spend a half an hour on BIMstart or any of the other platforms of digitalization, half an hour you have a micro accreditation.
I mean, certainly the sweet spot is definitely SME. So we need to maybe move on now for a third speaker. Thanks very much, Paul.
Thank you very much indeed, Don.
If you want to stay on for...
Stay on, and Shannon, thanks for facilitating that.
If you can stay on, it would be great.
I will indeed.
So our last speaker is Tony Carr from Letterkenny IT. Tony graduated from Robin Gordon University, Aberdeen, Scotland, with an honours degree in architecture, 92. He's worked in an architectural practice both in Scotland, returned to his family's architectural business. He's now lead architect in Carr Architects, based in Ballybuffet, and also teaches part-time in the college. And I believe, Tony, you're going to provide us with an insight into how you're using Microsoft, or sorry, Autodesk 360 in the college. Is that right, this morning?
That's right. Hi, Alan, and hi, all the other delegates. Yeah, we've been working hard. We've been working hard in LYIT to embrace BIM, if you like, and really, as I say in my presentation, it has changed really the way we've educated the architectural technologists and the other disciplines in the AEC faculties in Letterkenny. And it's becoming more and more exciting with the new advances in collaboration, which will be apparent in our presentation. Carol Dempsey should maybe open up his video portal there too. He is working in the integrated project with me, and he has some very high level of skills in that whole area that is really bringing the course on in leaps and bounds as well.
Okay, you're going to share a video with us, is that right?
Yeah, so we'll do that now. And I suppose maybe before I start, we weren't exactly sure on the target audience, and maybe some of the stuff is a little bit basic, and maybe it's overall a little bit long as well. So if you will excuse me, maybe in the middle of the presentation, we might just zoom it on a bit, fast forward it on a bit, and we can paraphrase what we have left out at the end if needs be. So yeah, we'll do that now.
finish. We're still hoping to finish at 11:45.
Okay.
So I'm or as close to it as we can.
Our presentation today is divided into two sections. I'm going to talk about building information modeling we do with second year students in the Architectural Technology program at LYIT. My colleague Carol will then follow on to talk about how this ties into the overall integrated project we run at LYIT, which sets up a simulated live project collaboration across all of the AEC programs, including architectural technology, construction technology, civil engineering, fire engineering, and quantity surveying. For this collaborative project, we use the Autodesk BIM 360 platform as a common data environment. And Carol will talk more about this exciting new step that we have taken. I started teaching in the LYIT Architectural Technology course 12 years ago. And at that stage, we kind of developed the program using AutoCAD and a little bit of SketchUp. And after a little bit of work, we were getting quite a good output from the students. And as we heard through the grapevine that BIM and a new software called Revit were coming down the tracks and would be the next big thing, and would be, in essence, a game changer for the industry and by association in education. In truth, I winced at the thought of having to learn new tricks again and to reinvent the wheel, if you like. Remember, I did my architectural education with a T-square, a rotary pens, and 112-gram tracing paper. And after graduating into the profession, the industry was basically grappling with the implementation of AutoCAD as a 2D drafting tool. I suppose I need not have winced though, because in essence, the last 10 years, teaching and learning BIM skills and so on have been really a very enjoyable time for me and a very rewarding part of my career. And supported by Heads of Department Dan Boner and Dennis McFadden at LYIT, we embarked and fully embraced an upskilling journey across all of the staff to get a handle on BIM and the associated software. It has, truth to tell, fundamentally changed the architectural technology education as I see it. The whole methodology has changed and the whole approach has changed in that short period. And is making big changes to the other AEC courses as well, maybe slightly behind architectural technology, as you would expect, but certainly it's making a big impact across all of the courses now. It has been a real joy for me to be involved in this change, and the purpose of my presentation today is to give a flavour of what we do now in the second year of the Architectural Technology program. There are four main sections to my presentation. We start off with modelling. Basic BIM and Revit modelling. We look at drawing management and outputs. We look at collaboration in terms of what we do across the class and across the programs, which I think is quite reflective of industry. And we have a quick look, a very short look at the future and what that might bring, and I suppose what we would like it to bring in terms of the education program and so on. Just looking at this slide now of the multi-purpose hall at LYIT. It's on the campus, and for the last number of years we've selected this building as the subject of the integrated project, and we selected this building for a number of reasons. Firstly, it is a beautifully designed building by Cody Architects with much of the structure exposed as a design feature, which makes the building an ideal subject for students of AEC. The building is actually 20 years old now, but it looks as good, really it nearly looks as good today as it did when it was first built, which is a real indicator of a very good and high quality design. The second reason then is I suppose that the building is on the campus, and that makes it very convenient to take students, particularly when you're taking students from multiple programs, to the building, to look at the building and study the building. Because what we find is that really one visit is never enough, particularly with students. It's hard to get them to focus on the first visit on some of the things that they need to know, and it's very convenient to be able to allow them to return formally or in their own time to the building to study it in greater detail. So here we have some of the students at the multi-purpose hall, the Untitled, as we call it. They're divided into their groups for the integrated project, so architects, engineers, fire engineers, construction managers, quantity surveyors and building services engineers all all in a kind of a simulated design team grouping. The integrated project starts in the second semester when the architectural technology students have had a chance to have building largely modelled in the first semester, as illustrated in this video walkthrough. This particular video was created by a rendering software called Lumion. This is a fantastic software, but Enscape is probably a preference for us now, as for Revit users, Enscape is a rendering package that produces output very similar to what you see here, but is much more integrated with the Revit workflow in terms of export, updating, and material settings. But there are a number of other rendering packages that you can use in conjunction with the primary BIM software, Revit, or whatever else that you use. And these are great tools in terms of giving everyone else, clients and other members of the design team, a really good three-dimensional visualization of what the building is in terms of spatial arrangement, materials, double height spaces, and so on. You can see here we're in the canteen space and we're moving into the student recreational space, and we have nice use of curtain walling and separation between the curtain walling and timber screens and the actual structure. And we have more curtain walling here with CitA, and we have a rain screen facade on the left hand side and our Fairface block, and we have a lot of elements here that are all absolutely tick the box in terms of learning outcomes for the architectural technology program. So we have some landscaping incorporated, we have disabled parking bays incorporated, because as well as the BIM studies, of course, we have a whole amount of other learning outcomes to achieve in terms of the architectural technology program. So let's look at some of the drawing output that the students then are extracting from the modelling work that they have been doing. And starting with the substructures, we can see the students producing very clear drawings showing the substructures in the subfloor, and they're using all the Revit facilities and techniques that allow for this clarity, including isolation of individual elements, section boxes, overriding colours of individual elements in specific views. We have some tagging of some of the building components, and so on and so forth. A very, very clear drawing and very, very successful use of Revit here, I feel. Moving on then up into superstructure, the students basically start off with modelling the superstructure. So we're looking at concrete RC cores and shear walls, and then some of the RC concrete post and beam structures, starting at ground level up to first floor level. And the students are encouraged to maintain an ability to prepare freehand drawings to illustrate the components that they're designing in the three-dimensional model. And there's a nice combination of that on this particular sheet. And then we find in using Revit, we encourage the students to use the
Have we lost sound there from Tony?
I think he just muted.
No sound on.
Sorry?
Nothing coming through.
Yeah.
No. Is he gone? Is Carl with us?
He left. Carl.
Yeah. Tony doesn't seem to be showing his mic or his video, so I can probably
Look really fantastic. The project, the building looks super, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's as Tony said, it's ideal in terms of the kind of complexity level. And
he's back.
Larry's back.
What happened to you?
Can you hear us, Tony?
Can you hear us, Tony?
Just unmute Tony.
You need to unmute Tony.
Anyway, hi Tony.
Yes, Alan. Sorry, I'm not sure at what point that cut out. I was
Well,
just
you're
watching.
going really well. Anyway, I think you've given us an insight into the building. It's a fantastic building you're working on there.
Yeah. Will I move on a wee bit onto the collaboration? Maybe just skip past this part now.
Yeah. At what stage is Carol coming in?
He comes in. Well, there's a little bit on collaboration, and then Carol comes in with his. He's dealing with the BIM 360 and the Navisworks.
So we're hoping to finish up in about 15 minutes or so, but I don't.
We need about 15 minutes to show the collaboration and the BIM 360.
That includes Carol, does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Indeed.
Heretofore, you could have had a number of people working on a project.
I need to share the screen.
Using a peer-to-peer network or through their server, but by and large, this sort of collaboration with a planning authority.
I think you need to share the screen, Tony.
I'm sorry.
So, finally, let's have a quick look at collaboration. So, Revit 2020 offers collaboration in the cloud, which is a very interesting and useful new development. Heretofore, you could have had a number of people working on a project simultaneously using a peer-to-peer network or through their server, but by and large, this sort of collaboration was happening in one office or in the same building. But the new facility offered by Revit for collaboration in the cloud in conjunction with the Common Data Environment, BIM 360, which Carol will talk about, really changes this, and it allows collaboration from anywhere via upload to the cloud. And this is also something of a game changer and will allow much more collaboration on one model in real time. And it'll be very interesting to see where this takes us. So let's have a little look at that. And here on the screen, you can see in Revit, I've got a series of projects that I've worked on, and it's the projects that you can see. I'm not sure if you can see this, but the projects with the small cloud icon, that means that that's already set up to be synchronized in the cloud. This particular project, the Cultural Centre, is not, and their co-lab building, another student project, that's set up to be collaborated in the cloud. So the ones with the cloud icon are set up already. So if we open one of these projects, we'll open up the Cultural Centre, and we'll just show you what it looks like when they're not set up for collaboration.
People turn off their mics there if they can, please. Yeah.
This is the Regional Cultural Centre, another project that we have undertaken, and you can see up at the top left hand side here, you've got a save button, but you don't have, beside the save button, you've got a button that deals with synchronization and collaboration, and that button is muted, it's grey, it's not active. So if we want to make a project a project suitable for collaboration, we need to go into the Collaborate tab, and then we have this button called Collaborate, and then we're given the opportunity to collaborate within the network or within the BIM 360 document management platform. So we pick that and we say OK. And then we pick out the Diatech as the reseller, and then Letterkenny County Institute of Technology. So we'll pick the Letterkenny County Institute of Technology and initiate. And then it's asking us to pick a project that we've already set up in our Common Data Environment. So the RCC, the Regional Cultural Centre, already that's set up, so I pick that out and I go initiate. And then it's asking me where do I want to locate that, so I put that into project files, and I just say initiate there. So it's saying now you have successfully initiated collaboration for the model. So that's it done. We can close that. So just to show you what that means, then is that if we go to the BIM 360, this is the Common Data Environment, cloud hosted Common Data Environment. We're already in a project called Regional Cultural Centre, and if we scroll down, you can see that actually what's happening now is that they're saying this is now version 2, and May the 11th, 2020, 9:38, a project has been set up for collaboration, and that'll take a little while now to upload. So,
can I ask, does this effectively mean that that project is accessible by multiple people?
Yes.
And what we have in the the common data environment then is a viewer model, and the viewer model is essentially can be opened up by anybody without having Revit, and we can do section cuts and so on, and interrogate the building pretty much as we would in Revit. As I say, you can do that without the Revit function. This is the common data environment, and all of the 2D drawings and so on can be hosted here, and all of lots of meetings and RFIs and all of those things that Cara will talk to you about. And so that will be updated in real time as the project changes, and will be recorded as a different version here.
Yeah, so I'm gonna fast forward it on. There's a bit more of a demonstration on collaboration, and there's a little bit on NBS as well, but we just don't have time. So I'm going to move it on to the Carl's presentation now, which will finish this off.
Thank you. That's really interesting. Thank you.
Some of the work we're doing with in an integrated BIM project. So we'll take a look at some of the digital tools that we use to enable efficient BIM workflows within the student-led integrated BIM project at LYT. So during this project, we take 80 students from 5 of our courses. We're lucky to have a range that covers a lot of the disciplines in the industry. So we've got architectural technology, civil engineering, construction management, fire engineering, and quantity surveying. And we use a simulated design build project of a building that's on campus, which is a leisure and purpose building. We adhere as closely as we can to BIM Level 2 protocols and workflows, close enough to get the message across for second and third year students. They go into a bit more detail into that then in subsequent projects. And we utilize digital BIM tools, the software and tools available to us to progress it from kind of basic design development through to a robust planning submission during one semester. Some of the software, I'll quickly look at our Revit, Navisworks during the session, and they use all sorts of other software, Excel, Microsoft Teams during the collaboration process. And what we'll take a look at in particular is the common data environment, which is where all the action happens, where all the information is shared, and the models are viewed, the clash detection reports are responded to, and else, which is in this instance it's BIM 360. So we're just going to take a look at one of the workflows that we follow with the students, where we identify a clash between elements in the building, and we resolve it, and what tools they use during that process. So first of all, we look at BIM 360 in terms of the common data environment that we use to set up the initial RFI, to view the model. We use Revit to develop that model further, to get a better understanding of the area that we're concerned with in terms of developing the coordination of it. We run some Navisworks clash reports between Revit and Navisworks, updating the model and then rerunning it to get resolved clash reports. And then finally, we communicate that back to the client, and also we're dealing with a range of different disciplines in terms of the student groups. The quantity surveyors look at cost implications, construction managers looking at time and quality, and the architect in the model. So very quickly, we're not going to go into the pros and cons of BIM and everything else, but to get the students' involvement, we give them the idea that if they have the option to follow common project instructions across projects and be equipped with tools to help them finish them faster and more accurately, then why wouldn't you go down this direction? So I think it's keen that, or important that people look at upskilling and evolving to use tools to get their projects done as quickly and as accurately as they can. And LYT offer part-time and evening courses in Revit and BIM and 4D construction courses as well, so it's worth jumping on, taking a look at that. So very quickly, the EA or the BEP, I'm not going to go into too much terminology, but it's one thing we do get across to the students is to understand the employer information requirements, which is basically you consider it as the client brief, what they expect during this BIM project, and the BIM execution plan, which is the response from the provider in terms of how they're going to do that. So under your expectations of the client and your contractual expectations, super important, and it's something we try and get across to the student. So this workflow we're going to look at is raised from the client, which is the lecturers in this simulated project, and they pick up while they're viewing the federated model, which is the combined 3D model within the CDE, which is BIM 360, and they communicate it using the RFI tool to the construction manager student to try and get it resolved. So we'll jump through some of the software to give you a look. We'll start with the common data environment. So the beauty about this is that everybody can view the model, view all the information just from a browser through Chrome or Explorer. You don't need Revit or you don't need 3D software to do this. So this is one of the most powerful aspects of it, the transparency that a client gets or a project manager or anyone else gets. So we can take a look through the model. This model was done by one of our architecture technology students. And the area in question they were looking at is this service zone in the gym. So what happens within this BIM 360 world is that an RFI is created within BIM 360 and sent to the appropriate person, which is a construction manager in this instance. So what we've said here, that we're aware that there's a significant amount of mechanical services over the gym, and we're looking for them to do a clash detection on it and ultimately resolve these issues. So what this involves our students and then is initially developing the Revit model. So we're into our next kind of digital BIM tool, which is the Revit software, to develop this area in question. So they're modeling in the ductwork over the gym, so we can have an understanding of the space that's needed and any clashes that might result from structure or from the seating levels. So initially we need that digital geometry in there. We need it in as accurately as we can to run the clash detection. So once that's done, we come into the next tool, which is our Navisworks software. So this same digital model, obviously, as it evolves and as it updates throughout the project, this model in Navisworks is constantly getting refreshed. So we've got the most accurate version of it. So the area that we're looking at in Navisworks, then we're not actually building the model in here. We're just using it to do some simulation and to do clash detection and everything else. So we have our ductwork model in here. We have our structure model. The clash detective within Navisworks, which effectively takes two selections of objects. In our instance, it's going to be the mechanical ducts in selection A versus structure in selection B. And that produces a clash report, which we'll have a look at now. And within this clash report then, just bear with me, jumping about a little bit, it brings up the number of clashes. In this instance, it's 12. It gives us the item 1 here, which is the rectangular duct, item 2, which is up as a PFC, 200 by 90 by 30, and it gives you the distance that it's clashing by, 63 mil for this particular, and it gives you a little graphic as well. So 12 clashes, and it's telling you where in the model it is, and importantly, it's telling you the distance, how much we need to either move the mechanical services by or offset the structure or to resolve this. So what happens then within the CDE, we get an update from the construction manager as a response to this RFI. So at the end of it, you have an activity log that records the full flow of this RFI. So here we have the response. The construction manager saying they've commenced the modeling of this mechanical services and they'll start the clash detection this week. So they've identified that there's a clash. And then follow up with another RFI. This is from the student to your client. I've attached a sheet from the Revit model and the gym mechanical services showing that a ceiling plan of the mechanical services, a section through one of the ducts showing it clashing with the steel structure, and a 3D view showing 3 bays of mechanical services in the gym. So towards the end of this RFI, then they're saying they're looking to resolve the clashes of these elements by investigating the possibility of either lowering the ceiling or reducing the size of the steel member. So this is the case now where the civil engineers start to look at the stage sizing in the model, and the architects take a look at the option to get this resolved. Ultimately, what we want to see is the model updated, the Revit model updated, and another clash detection report completed showing that it's been resolved. And this is what happens at the end of this result. So what we can see a little further on then is the final kind of closing out RFI statement from the construction manager, saying that they've resolved the issues, and they've done this by lowering mechanical services above the gym, and therefore lowering the ceiling in the gym as a mechanical service would have been clashing with. Okay, so and within this then they've attached the work that they've done in response to show this, and this information is uploaded onto the CDE, so all the information is in one place, and we can click on the clash detection reports. We can view then as a client or a project manager, we can view the updated model, federated model in the CDE to see that it's not just being resolved. We can actually have a look at it. So we can see these near resolved clashes where they were new, and we've got 12 clashes and we've got 12 resolved. And ultimately then in the digital model, following that particular workflow, we're coming into the same zone, and we can see now that the ceiling has been dropped down and there's no clashes between the mechanical ductwork and the structure, and no clashes between the mechanical ductwork and the ceilings as well. So what we're keen to try and get, as well as the technical workflow, is appreciation that this has an impact on the quality of the space for the client. It has an impact on costs potentially for the QS to follow this this workflow and this RFI, and the architecture technologists and the structural engineers. So that all happens and uses Revit, uses Navisworks, and uses the Common DAO environment to kind of pull this through. So that's a quick snapshot of it for you, and I'll get a chance to field any questions a little later on with the guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's really interesting. That's the type of immersion in technology that I'd love to see our quantity surveying students have. I'm just wondering, when they leave these colleges and they get all this fantastic training, are they using it in the workplace? As an architecture technologist, yes, but I don't know. Any questions for either Tony or Carl there? It's super to have that building on your campus, isn't it? That you can use it.
Yeah, and a number of other very good buildings as well. In fairness, the whole IT developments have featured extraordinarily good architecture, which is a good feature and very useful for the architectural technology courses. Subject matter.
And do the architectural technologists have to develop the model? I mean, do you give them a kind of an early design version, or?
Yeah, well, what really would happen in certain circumstances now, we're moving more and more towards having a repository of models that are pre-prepared. And what we do then is we subtract from those models to tailor the model to what the learning outcomes to be achieved are. Because I think if we spend all of our time modeling complex buildings like you see, we spend the 24 weeks just purely as a modeling exercise, and it's possible to achieve the other outcomes.
Yeah, I'd love to see a situation where maybe the colleges could share modules, because we've got some very good modules as well, but you know, we've kind of used them so much that we need to maybe change them and so on. But listen, do we have any questions for you?
If I could just say one thing on that, sorry, Alan, but one of the models that I showed there briefly was actually a shared model from GMIT. Jim O'Connor and some of the staff shared that, and it just picks up on what you're saying. I think we should have a national repository where we share models between the colleges. I think it would be a very good.
Because we've developed a model of a GAA facility in County Cavan, and it was actually built. And so I talked to the guys in TU Dublin to see whether we could maybe share that with you, because we've used it for 2 or 3 years now. We'd like to use something else. You know what I mean? And you know, it's been mentioned so many times. Well, so any questions? I know we're running over a few minutes. Okay. That was a really fantastic event. Thank you so much this morning. A few little hiccups on the way, but that's the technology, I suppose, the life we're in. And thank you for all those people that attended this morning as well. My special thanks to the CitA team, to Shannon, to Suzanne, to Lenia, and to Sam, who are working away busily in the background. Keith, are you still with us?
I am indeed, yeah.
Yeah, listen, you did a great job. You know, thank you so much for your presentation. Will you keep in touch?
I will indeed, Alan. Yeah, thanks very much.
As an Irishman, will you tell the Australians about CitA? And by the way, if you come across any other tech companies, you know, that might want to speak at one of our events, or we'd love to hear from them, because one thing I suppose, and I think Paul touched on this new world of digitalization, is it's really opened up the globe to all of us, isn't it? Whether it's talking to family, talking to friends, talking to people in the four corners of the world. And that's one thing that, you know, having you on today, Keith, was fantastic.
Yeah, there's one guy actually that sits beside us. He has a company called SkySave, which is structural engineering. It's like three-dimensional structural engineering all in the cloud. So I might share details with you.
Just ping on the details to myself if on Shannon, it'd be great. And
can I come in for a second?
Yes, Paul.
There's something that we've talked about here in this morning, and it's a great opportunity. Give me the phrase back. I was talking for the phrase where we talked about learning.
Cottage industries, yeah.
The cottage industries.
Yeah.
Look at what Ireland has come from. If you look at the Island Saints and Scholars, look at the opportunity now, and Tony talked about it there. That digital repository of work that's already done. The BIM Centre of Excellence for modules that are already developed. Yeah. You look at how Ireland exports software. We now have the opportunity using digitalization to export knowledge.
Yeah, but now we need more than ever, you know, with this pandemic, we need innovation.
Correct.
We need to rally together, come together, you know, to bring the industry out of, you know, the phase it's in. But also thank to Paul for the passion, the usual passion and enthusiasm, and can I just personally wish you every success with the award, with the European award. It's well deserved, and I hope you bring home the prize. Also to Tony and Carol for your presentation, and wish you all every success in the next academic year in industry. And also to thank Anne Bonner, who introduced, who suggested that Paul and Carol will speak this morning. You know, really fantastic to have such a facility on campus. And I hope everything works out for you in September. I know ourselves. But just to wrap up the event, to say thank you to our participants, and just to mention to you before I go that there are a number of events over the next few weeks that you may be interested in. I know we're hosting an event. It's a free leadership, well-being and engagement event tomorrow, hosted by CitA SkillNet online. We have Autodesk Construction in the cloud event on the 14th of May. And actually something that might interest you all on the 20th of May is a Microsoft Teams event. And this is being hosted by Microsoft. And we're going to be hearing from Microsoft about the, I suppose, maximizing the use of Teams, but also we're going to be hearing from up to about 6 members of CitA who are all working in their own way with the Microsoft Teams platform. But like every piece of software, we're only using one small section, which is the video element. But there's so many other tools there that you can use. So I'm not going to stop talking after a cup of tea. And thank you so much to everyone. And we hope to see you at our next event. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be sending out the recordings and everything soon. All stay safe and keep connected to CitA. Thank you so much. See you guys.
Thanks, guys. Cheerio.